Zuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Hello, Black Eagles. Welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast. It's been a pretty hectic news week, and I'm joined today by two co-hosts, one of which you are all very familiar with, the man from New York City himself, Sinan Schwarting.
Yeah.
And
how's it going, folks?
And the VIPers among you will definitely be familiar with this face, but the loyal watchers of the podcast as well, for sure. Ural Alhan, le financier, the man who we usually call in when it comes to financial topics.
The indomitable.
Yeah,
the indubitable.
Unfortunately, the cameras are popping off and shrinking and stuff like that. I'm going to have to find a solution for that at some point, but it's something for another day. But it might be a little bit of a financial episode today, Ural, because there's there might be some things on the horizon that are financially interesting,
that are
to
costly.
say the least, or costly, or whatever you want to put it. But obviously, look, if you clicked on this video, you already know what we're going to talk about today. Obviously, you can see I did something I never really do, guys. I don't know if you can tell. I'm not sharing the screen with you because I'm trying to save on bandwidth here, but I put a picture up of Leandro Trossard, which is normal because he's our he's our player. But then I also put up a picture of somebody who isn't our player yet in a Beşiktaş jersey, and that's Mohamed Salah. But those of you
surprise.
who have been paying attention, who are following the news closely, will probably have noticed yesterday during the signing ceremony of Leandro Trossard that the fans, you may have noticed, or you might not have noticed, but the fans chanted, Ya Allah Bismillah, Mohamed Salah. And it was met with a grin on the face, a grin of knowing almost, of acknowledgement by Beşiktaş president Serdal Adalı. For those of you who are following the news closely, obviously, I think the day before, Yaysa Buncoğlu was one of the more reputable Turkish journalists, football journalists, at least the football journalist with the most reach, I'll put it that way. I don't know if reputable is quite the word. Usually he's mainly focused on Fenerbahçe, but I think he kind of got ousted lately. He's been posting quite a bit of Beşiktaş news, and he broke the news that Beşiktaş have been offered the opportunity to acquire Liverpool legend Mohamed Salah. And that the Egyptians' contract demands would be roughly 15 million euros a year, not a month. That would be very extreme. And that he is willing or even wants to come to Beşiktaş. That kind of sparked this enthusiasm among the fans who went to the stadium yesterday to attend the signing ceremony of Leandro Trossard. And it almost, I would say, overshadowed it a little bit, guys. I don't know what you thought about that. Do you think that's maybe... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the fans chanting the player's name.
It kind of pissed me off. It kind of pissed me off. I mean, especially in light of the fact that yesterday it felt like a really unrealistic request anyway. And so it was like, what the hell are you guys doing, man? Like, we're celebrating one of the great signings of this decade. You know, we've needed a left wing for like most of my child's existence. We got one. We got an elite one. A guy who has created the second most chances in the current World Cup. And we're chanting for the guy who created the third most chances in the current World Cup.
What are we doing? That's a nice one. Yeah, that's true.
But I guess, sure enough, why not go for 2/3 of the pie? I guess we want. I mean, let's be serious. Creating chances was far and away the biggest struggle we had last season, and frankly, it's been the case for, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years, but at this point. So, if in fact, I mean, I don't know, I'm jumping the gun here, obviously, but if in fact we are getting that much chance creation, I mean, we should be thrilled just at the fact that we've got a guy like Leandro Trossard. And if the figures that we're getting are correct, that we got him at a rate that's significantly lower than we all feared, but now we have a whole new conversation to talk about on the other flank. I mean, what do you think, Ural? Like, we got to get your input here.
It's going a very hot summer all of a sudden. So I think so. Yeah, the state. I wasn't that bothered, to be honest, because I think you can expect something because the rumors were already swelling after we knew that the Trossard was coming. But I wonder if it was a setup by the board, so that they already asked sort of the leaders of the stands to do this. So there's a theory going around that they already were in talks, and that's why also the reaction by Adalı when the chant came. So that it's an interesting theory.
Time out. Pause. We need to fill in our viewers here. The reaction he's talking about was a very cheeky, you might even say cute little smile that he like while they were chanting Mo Salah's name. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. I just wanted to give people the context.
Yeah, of course. Not everybody watched it, perhaps. But so that's an interesting part. But in itself, to be honest, I think the fans obviously appreciate the Trossard transfer and are very excited about it. So I don't think it's sort of a bad view vis-a-vis Trossard. But I understand. I also understand the comment or the argument say, okay, it shouldn't have taken place during that presentation. But I don't think that Trossard was bothered at all by it, and to be honest, I'm also not too bothered by it. It
needs to be added that if in fact we were to get Mo Salah, it would easily be the biggest transfer, the biggest name transferred to our club in our club's history. Period. Bar none. End of conversation.
No.
Right, we're talking about a Ballon d'Or candidate.
Oh yes, of course.
We're talking about a Ballon d'Or candidate,
yes,
right? Like
course,
this guy.
Yeah,
he's a legend, right? So
I've now delayed my jersey order yet again because I have to wait. I am not getting this one wrong because this is you're talking about propaganda. I'm gonna have to get like 10 kids shirts if we get Trossard and Mo Salah.
Yeah,
I mean, you're gonna put yourself in debt there with these new shirt prices, Sinan, because I just got Ural to bring me to when he was on vacation, and that was it's expensive, man. Like these shirts are getting more expensive by the year. It's very pricey, I have to say.
They look good on you, though, Khan. I will say that.
I mean, I really
you should
like
have put one on.
I know, but it's so warm.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's so warm, man. I didn't want to be uncomfortable for 1.5 hours in, because at the end of the day, those football jerseys they're supposed to be breathable, right? But I don't know, man. This is just like, plus I just said this to Kim the other day. Like with this warm weather, and I see all these people out and about in t-shirts, and I'm like, how do people tolerate sleeves? I'm just walking around in tank tops all the time. It's so much better. So they need to.
Because you got those. You just have guns to pull out, Con. You're in good shape now. You know.
Well,
that's what he wants to hear.
I don't have much to show here. You know.
It's a lot more comfortable, and that's the only reason I wear them, honestly. But I think you're right, Sinan. I mean, look, it's not even a debate, right? Like, would he be the biggest name to ever come to Beşiktaş? Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, obviously there have been great names in the past, really big names. Mario Gomez comes to mind. Guti Hernandez. I'm sure Mario Gomez at one point or another was nominated, or was at least in the short list for the Ballon d'Or. I don't know if he ever finished in third place, but. And some would argue that Mohamed Salah maybe deserved to win the Ballon d'Or 2 years ago. But, that's neither here or there. And look, obviously...
That's a debate I will suddenly have an interest in for the first time.
I mean, look,
should he join? Yes, he was robbed!
It's not about whether or not he would be the biggest name to ever come to our club. Personally... because I really wanted Cathal to be on the show, because he is, I think, from all of us, probably the most outspoken against this. For me, I'm
Really?
I'm very much onto Francis here, like the sober, down to earth, analytical fan in me is like, no, it's too expensive. He's older, and look, I know Liverpool for many years played a very high intensity, high pressing game, and he was their best player in all those years. So obviously, look, this guy knows how to play in a high press system. He can do it. But we also have to acknowledge that this last season at Liverpool, I think he has shown signs of slowing down. I also think that we have to acknowledge that at the World Cup, he wasn't always great. He played 5 matches at the World Cup. Kudos to Egypt for getting that far. I think he played 3 really solid games. Australia, New Zealand, he had the man of the match according to FOTMOP. Against Belgium, he had an assist and he got a 7.2 on FOTMOP. But in those other 2 games, against Iran and against Argentina, he didn't really get the greatest ratings. And I remember watching the game against Argentina. There were a couple of moments, I think, where Egypt had an opportunity to break, where he was on the ball. And I feel like he waited like a tad too long to make the pass. And so just little things like that. And you could see similar things with Kevin De Bruyne for Belgium, where there were just some moments where maybe, and look, of course, like, we need to take the World Cup into, it's a vacuum. It's a moment in time. We can't compare a World Cup to an entire season. And obviously, relative to his 2024-2025 season, this past season was very disappointing. I don't have the numbers up right now, but I'll bring them up.
I want to throw up.
Yeah.
While you look this up, I want to throw up a counterweight to you there, in that I think, and look, it's quite anecdotal. It's a World Cup, especially for guys like, frankly, even Trossard, but certainly Salah, right, where this is their last real glimpse at the World Cup.
Yeah.
They're going to go all out and put in a level of performance that you might not be able to expect consistently, throughout an entire season. That said, the top 3 chance creators in this cup, Messi,
True. Yes,
Trossard,
that's
and Salah,
Yeah.
all 3 of them, I've watched them throughout this cup and thought, oof, man, like, if we had somebody who was just incisive like that, who just didn't care what was being thrown at them, they're going to make an attempt at goal. They're going to make an attempt to go around someone. They're going to make an attempt to make a sort of magical pass. Just seeing that kind of impetus on those types of players made me, like, again, I never watched, I mean, except obviously for Trossard, like halfway through the World Cup. But even in the beginning, I was impressed by all 3 and thinking, man, to have someone like that. But alas, like, we're sellers, we're not buyers, right? Like, the practical, the frugal, the pragmatic, everything that I try to be in my everyday life, I applied, and I thought, like, whatever, we're gonna get like that what's his name, the Georgian guy that everyone's been talking about,
Kvaratskhelia or
Zurico.
Davitashvili. Yeah.
And or like Armand Lorient, if we're gonna splash a little bit, despite the price tag, whatever, But so I had my expectations low, and so I was watching these guys fairly
low.
Neutrally.
I mean, look, these are good players, right? Like,
of course, low. Sorry, right. At the time, I was happy with either one, thrilled. I would have been happy to take either of them home, but pause. But on the, watching guys like that in this World Cup, from a neutral perspective, just was like, damn, like, I hope, Zurico or Armand Lorient has some of those traits, has some of that impetus, some of that desire to just create chaos no matter what. And so for us to then, of course, come away with Trossard, I thought, damn, like, we've needed a left wing so badly for so long, that to get one of those guys that's inspiring, like wistful thinking, I was thrilled by that. But so honestly, I don't know. Like, I would simply say that if we get Mo Salah, I know the finances are stupid. I'm sure they will be stupid, no matter
Well,
what's
yeah.
reported. Even.
Foot Mercato is reporting that Beşiktaş and Salah have agreed on financial numbers for 10 million a year, 2 million in bonuses, and a 1 + 1 year contract. That's what Foot Mercato are reporting right now. So that maybe ties into the comment from Nasser, if you don't mind. I'll read it out. Sinan.
Go.
Yeah, so
Go for it.
Nasser asked, how do you guys realistically see us pulling off a move for Salah? Can't see him dropping from 20 million to 10 million a year. And if we pay him 20 million, doesn't that disrupt our wage structure? Now, okay, look. Salah was on 20 million a year at Liverpool. You have to take into consideration, though, that he loses roughly half of that in taxes. And you also need to take into consideration that he's not staying at Liverpool, right? So it's difficult for him to expect to maintain the same wages. And 10 million net in Turkey is roughly the same as 20 million in the UK. The same thing happened with Leandro Trossard, right? Leandro Trossard was on 9.3 million pounds a year, which boils down to 11 million euros. That's roughly 6 million euros net after tax. And now at Beşiktaş, he's getting 6.5 million euros net. So he's basically on the same wage at Beşiktaş now than he was at Arsenal. He still had a year of contract left. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think Salah's contract expired, right? Like he signed an extension last season. Yeah. So this is a different situation where he doesn't. Yes, he had a 20 million a year contract at Liverpool, but that contract is non-existent anymore. Doesn't exist anymore, right? So then you have to look. Okay, he has options. He wants to go somewhere. He wants to maintain as much of that wage as possible. Probably. What are his realistic destinations, right? Like, where can you realistically expect to earn 20 million a year? Saudi Arabia and the MLS. I think those are the two most logical destinations, other than obviously Barcelona, Real Madrid, whatever, like Juventus. By the way, those clubs are not paying those wages either, for the most part. But let's be honest, Mohamed Salah, he's not gonna. Bayern München are not gonna go for 34-year-old Mohamed Salah. Neither is Real Madrid. Neither is Barcelona. Well, you know, maybe, but probably not. And Salah, probably given his experience this past season at Liverpool, he's gonna want to play. Because he was very annoyed at getting benched at Liverpool. And that brings me back to my previous point, just his performance this season. So obviously, look, he was coming off of a career-defining season the season before when Liverpool won the Premier League. He played 52 matches in all competitions, 34 goals, and 23 assists. That's almost 60 goal contributions. That's 57 goal contributions. In the Premier League, he scored 29 and assisted 18. This season, he has played only 41 matches, so 11 less, scored 12 goals and gave 10 assists. Now, 12 goals, 10 assists in 41 matches, that's 22 goal contributions. Those are really good numbers for a winger.
Yeah.
But, obviously, with Mohamed Salah, you expect inhuman numbers. You know, just like I said, I just said the numbers he had when they won the league, but the season before that, 44 matches, 25 goals, 13 assists. The season before that, 51 matches, 30 goals, 16 assists. The season before that, 51 matches, 31 goals, 15 assists. Season before that, 51 matches, 31 goals, 6 assists. Season before that, 48 matches, 23 goals, 13 assists. Season before that, 52 matches, 27 goals, 10 assists. Season before that, 52 matches, 44 goals, 14 assists, and so on and so forth. So this is a man who has been producing such incredibly ridiculous numbers on the level of Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lewandowski, and Erling Haaland. It's normal for people to go, whoa, wait, he only scored 12 goals and gave 10 assists this season? Yeah, in a very up and down Liverpool side that was struggling, not always starting, coming off the bench. Yeah, it's normal for people to then go and think, okay, maybe he's slowing down a little bit, right? But to come back to the original, to the point of Nasser and so forth, and the wage structure, you need to look at what his options are. And like I said, I think the only realistic options to maintain such a high wage are Saudi Arabia and the MLS. And I asked around a little bit. Apparently, right now, none of the Saudi Arabian clubs are interested. None of the Saudi Arabian clubs that can afford him, I should say, because yes, the Saudi Arabian football pyramid is very much propped up by the Saudi Arabian government, but it's mainly 4 clubs that are the benefactor of that are getting those ridiculous funds pumped into them. Al Fatah and Al Qasadiya, or whatever they're called, are not getting those numbers. It's Al Hilal, it's Al Nasser, it's Al Ittihad. It's those clubs who are getting sponsored by the state, basically, to bring in the Karim Benzemas and the Cristiano Ronaldos and the Sadio Manes of the world. And those clubs right now don't seem to be interested in Mohamed Salah. And I this is just an opinion of mine, but I think that has to do with the fact that he turned them down 3 years ago. Because if you'll remember, when the Saudi Arabian League was propping itself up to being a contender or a rival to the top European leagues and was bringing in all these big names, they really wanted to roll out Mohamed Salah as their parade. They wanted to him
poster boy.
Yeah, they wanted to make him the poster boy as the biggest Muslim footballer on the planet. They offered Liverpool at the time, I think, what was it, 120 or 150 million euros for a Salah that was already 31, 32 years old. It was a crazy number, but he turned it down. They turned it down. He stayed at Liverpool, and I would not be surprised if that didn't go down too well down in Saudi Arabia, because I think that's the reason why he isn't there right now. So Saudi Arabia
Hasn't he also?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hasn't he also said that he specifically didn't want to go there, even like recently?
I don't know.
Or was that just his like agent?
No, I don't know about that.
Or is that just Turkish media?
Turkish
Yeah,
media.
I think it's media.
That's media, I think. Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think that if he has the option right now, because look, he obviously there's a big difference between Qatar, Dubai, and Saudi Arabia. But I do know that like he very frequently vacations in Dubai and stuff like that. So it's not too hard to imagine that he could move to Saudi Arabia and play football there for a couple of years. I think it's very much right now it's a non-interest from the Saudi Arabian league / clubs. So then that's an option off the table, right? So and that can always change. Like there's the possibility that now they're being shook awake by if we don't pounce now, Beşiktaş is gonna sign him, and he's actually quite affordable, relatively speaking, to what a Ronaldo is making. But for now, the Saudi Arabian League is not an option for him, apparently. So that leaves the MLS. And this is just, again, my personal opinion. I think the MLS don't seem super keen on having the poster boy for the Muslim footballing world in their league for some reason. I don't know why, but it seems like they're not too keen. So it doesn't seem like the MLS is really pushing for a Mohamed Salah. You'd expect them to push for him. They pushed for a Marco Reus and they pushed for a Thomas Müller. Why wouldn't they push for Mohamed Salah? I don't know. I'll leave that in the middle. Why? But there has been nothing in that regard. Like there's not been any concrete rumors of Atlanta are pushing for him, or Chicago Fire or whatever. There's none of that. So those two major money destinations are seemingly off the table right now. So what is left? Really? I think the Turkish league is almost the only thing left, and then the only realistic destination is Galatasaray, Fenerbahçe, and Beşiktaş, because those are the only 3 clubs that are going to pay wages that come close to what he was making at Liverpool. And obviously Beşiktaş less so than the other 2. But
I mean, and Fener just splashed on Mason Greenwood.
Yeah, of course.
So
and exactly, a great point. So Fenerbahçe just brought in Mason Greenwood for their right wing. They're not gonna then also go and bring in Mohamed Salah. Like, who's gonna play on the right then? Is Salah gonna have to play on the left? Is Greenwood gonna have to play on the left? What's going to happen there? Galatasaray, I don't really know what's happening there. They have Leroy Sané, they have Barış Alper Yılmaz, they have Yunus Akgün. They did bring in
Ogachukwu or whatever his
No,
name.
they brought in Noah Lang during the January window, so they clearly were still interested in an additional winger. But it's been quiet on their front so far when it comes to wingers. In general, it's been very quiet. And Beşiktaş right now, it's heating up really, really intensely. It's the strongest rumor out there right now. I mean, if you look, Mohamed Salah, he's not linked to any clubs. The only club he's linked to is Beşiktaş right now. So, to Nasser's question about the wages and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. I think someone like Salah, obviously, look, he is a very proven player. He's made that clear as well. During periods where he was starting on the bench, that he didn't understand the decision because he thinks he has earned the right to start with what he's proven at Liverpool and all that kind of stuff. So this is a guy. Yes, money is going to be important because money also reflects your value as a footballer. So it's very difficult for a footballer to say, oh, I'm going to play for a fraction of what I used to make. That doesn't happen very often. And most of the time that doesn't happen because they believe very much that it's a reflection of their value, the wages they're being paid. But for a Mohamed Salah, it's very important for him to play. I think it's very important for him to go to a club where he's going to feel appreciated and where he's going to feel similar love from the fans than he did at Liverpool. So I don't know if Beşiktaş is such an unthinkable destination. I mean, I even did a video on this yesterday, and in that one I argued that I think it's a logical choice for him almost, and that I actually think it's going to happen. And obviously, look at
I think it's. We have to acknowledge this fact, Khan, and we've sort of skirted around it now in a few different ways, but it's perhaps the selling point for me at this point. No one can question, right? Like, for all the talk of he's an older player and his finances, right? Mm-hmm. There's no one who's afraid of him not being a positive contributor. There's no one who's he has such an unquestionable character as a human being and as a footballer, right? That I think there's no doubt that he's going to go out there and give it his all, no matter where he goes, frankly.
I have no doubt about that, but I do have to say, look, obviously it's from the outside looking in, but I do think that with his disgruntledness at Liverpool this past season, he did put a lot of pressure on Arne Slot, a lot of additional pressure. I think if it happened a little bit differently, maybe Arne Slot would not have gotten sacked this season. And I do think he had a negative impact there, whether it was intentional or not. So, look.
You don't want to get on his bad side. No, I agree. I think if he gets sort of angry or disgruntled, I don't think then he's that much of a positive, that much likable, to be honest. But yeah, so you have to keep him happy in that sense, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, can Italiano manage that, right? So, and obviously he will come in different. Let's say, if he comes, he will come in differently in the sense that I think it's different pressure than at Liverpool. I would say also performance-wise. On the other hand, Italiano is a very demanding coach. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So he will also not let him do whatever he wants, right? So that will also play a factor.
I don't have I don't really have the fear for that, because like if Salah is known for being a model professional, working really, really hard, being in tip-top physical condition, being the first man entertaining, kind of like a Kobe Bryant and a Michael Jordan, right? Like always being the first guy there, last one to leave. So he has that reputation. So in terms of work,
that shouldn't be a problem.
I don't have
and that's a great comparison, Khan, because like he is of that caliber where, again, right, coming to a club like Beşiktaş, it's not like the things that disgruntle him are not going to be there to be disgruntled by, right? Like there's never going to be, we've got to play Czerny over Mo Salah, you know? I mean,
but Sinan, it is worth pointing out, Vincenzo Italiano rotates a lot. In his time in Bologna and maybe even at Fiorentina, I think he had like 123 games in a row where he didn't have the same lineup. So he's constantly moving things around. Now, obviously, look, that doesn't mean that his go-to guys don't play 90% of the time. But there's gonna be moments maybe where he is on the bench, and that's something he's going to have to accept. He's also, you can kind of maybe liken it a little bit to Ronaldo, where Ronaldo also work ethic wise, model professional. But what happens when those players are physically losing their edge a little bit? And all of a sudden they find themselves on the bench from time to time or not playing the full 90 minutes. Like, how do they handle that? That is very important. And I think there's a little bit of a resemblance there with Ronaldo. To an extent, obviously. Look, Ronaldo is a different caliber in petulant child behavior.
I was going to
say. But I don't know if that's fair. But yeah. So Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Will.
No, sorry, I was going to say that depends on how Vincenzo manages that, right? And I think it's manageable. I don't think that Mo Salah is that of a diva that he's going to make a huge problem out of it, as long as he feels it's a righteous decision, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if he feels wrong,
exactly.
then okay. But if it's tactical, etc., I think he will play along and he will be fine with it. I think he's that professional and he will understand.
And given the grind of Vincenzo's system, my cousin Vinny's system, right? Like, there'll probably even be a moment where, I mean, if Mo Salah is being asked to play a lot and to be a major contributor, he'll probably enjoy having a day off here and there if the pace is what we anticipate it to be in the press. So, I'm not especially worried about that kind of stuff. And I think. Yeah, he's always been a model professional, and I don't think he's a diva to the extent that a Ronaldo is.
No, I think for him probably the biggest issue was that he was coming off of one of the best seasons in his career. Not the best, but one of the best seasons in his career. Became the Premier League top scorer, won the league, and all of a sudden he went from having a really good, I think, a good relationship with the coach to almost having no relationship with the coach, having the feeling that they wanted to... You know what? I think one of the big issues was Liverpool probably wanted to part ways with Salah at the end of his contract. But because he had such an incredible season, they were forced to extend. And I think they didn't want to extend, but they were forced to because they couldn't not extend, right? And I think there was an issue there where he felt disrespected and being forced out of the club. And I think Armstrong probably took the blunt of that, was kind of sacrificed almost as a sacrificial lamb. Because obviously, look, when Slot got sacked, there were these rumors that, now Mohamed Salah is staying. And then everyone was like, look, so Slot was the reason. But turns out, no,
it was bullshit.
Well, it turns out he didn't extend. He didn't stay.
Exactly.
It wasn't only Slot. Maybe Slot wanted him gone too because he wanted new players. I don't know. But there were definitely other people and decision makers at that club that thought it was time to part ways there. And maybe the issue, for sure the issue there was that he felt that he had done so much, proven so much for that club, and didn't feel like he was getting the respect and the appreciation anymore. Obviously, I don't think that will be an issue at Beşiktaş. Even if Italiano says, look, okay, I'm not going to play you every game. You're going to be on the bench from time to time. But as long as he feels like he's being valued and appreciated and he's being seen as one of the leaders of the team, I think he'll be fine. But I just wanted to talk about that because you said, okay, he's a model professional. There's not going to be any issues with him. I wanted to basically play devil's advocate for a second because I know there's going to be people watching this. I know there's going to be Beşiktaş fans out there thinking, okay, he was kind of a rotten apple his last season at Liverpool, and I just wanted to address that because I feel like you were painting a picture of this great model professional. Right. So I wanted to play devil's advocate just for a second, so to make sure that we talked about that aspect of it as well.
Sure, yeah, no doubt. But I also think, in a way, that's probably, coming to Beşiktaş is like, he knows he's coming to a position where he's going to be valued probably more than he's ever been valued in his career, which is crazy because we know how much Liverpudlians value him. So, I don't know. I mean, right? He probably saw the Trossard announcement when he was getting cheers somehow. So,
By the way, Ali
Interesting.
says, Alio says, I think Salah's performance wouldn't be a problem, but how will this impact the club's or the team's budget for future transfers? Which I think is a very valid question, Sinan, because look, we filled a role that we have been needing to fill for many years now on the left wing with Leandro Trossard. We brought in a German international goalkeeper with Alexander Nubel. Also, I think a void that really needed filling. I think we needed a top goalkeeper for a long time. So we did that. We brought in a young left back with Ouattara, who's probably going to get the record of holding the number 11 jersey for the shortest amount of time. I wonder if he's going to play an official game with the number 11, because if this Salah thing happens in the next, I don't know, 48, 72 hours, then he might not even be able to play that first Midtjylland game with a number 11. But that's either here or there. But I think we have addressed several important vacancies or voids in the team already, but there's other transfers still needed, right? Like, we need another midfielder probably, especially if Wilfred Ndidi leaves, because, with all this talk about Salah and Leandro Trossard, we've forgotten about to talk about some of the outgoing stuff, and Ndidi has some serious interest from the Saudi Pro League, and he's probably going to end up leaving. Beşiktaş have rejected initial offers and initial approaches because they were below their valuation of Ndidi. But it's being said that if a Saudi club are serious enough to offer more than what Beşiktaş paid, and for the record, Beşiktaş paid 8 million, so if an offer comes in around the 10 million euro ballpark, Beşiktaş would definitely be willing to part ways with Ndidi. But they're in a strong negotiation position because they're not asking for it, they're not trying to push him out. Ndidi is also happy at the club, so there's no immediate need to force him out. But there are potential departures there, and if Ndidi leaves, that leaves another void in midfield that needs filling. We have said since day one, Beşiktaş need another striker, whether it's a starter, like a Dusan Vlahovic or Romelu Lukaku or whoever, or it's a very good alternative, like a Tolu Arokodare to Oh Hyun-ju. That's neither here or there, but we need a striker regardless. So there's multiple positions still that need filling. Potentially another left-footed center back. What else is there, guys? Maybe another right winger for the rotation. There's enough positions that need filling, and if we go and splash money on Mohamed Salah, does that endanger the potential of filling in those positions? Is what the question is basically. And to that point, Ural, you might know a little bit more. You might have read a little bit more. Supposedly, and we've heard this so many times, but supposedly there might be the involvement of a sponsor for the transfer of Salah.
But for those, and I think to be fair, I don't think that fans should be too considered about the financial side, because the board is responsible to make. They're responsible for the whole financial situation. So if it doesn't work, then they need to come out and say, okay, guys, this is going to stretch us too much. They need to have that professionalism and responsibility to keep it feasible, right? So, so sort of counting and accounting these numbers, I don't think is much sensible for the fans. But to get into it, I think they said, well, there's plus minus a transfer budget of 100 million. We're only talking about salary, right, for Mo Salah. So that's 12 million plus another 12, let's say, if that option is called. But if you we transferred in Trossard, and we're paying 20 million to Arsenal. So in that light, right, out of the 100 million, you would only spend 12 million or maybe 15 for Mo to get him in. The only thing is that obviously you will not be able to sell him, so that money is spent, right? That's gone. You will not earn something back from it unless you do smart deals with sponsorships and jersey sales and things like that. So all in all, in that light, I don't think it's that big of an impact. It sounds a lot because it's one of the highest salaries that we would ever pay. But there's no transfer fee, right? So that's also that you need to factor that in. and I don't know if there will be a signing bonus, but let's assume that there's no signing bonus, or we will not see it on the books, then that's it, right?
Yeah.
So if people are talking about budget, then I think it's less impactful than people think. So you could spend that, I would say. And I think more importantly, you have to be, we just have to see, does it impact our transfers, right? And I think, talking about Italiano, I think his worry is not professionalism about or the behavior of the player. I think the most interesting question for him is, okay, but if we get him, do we still have budget for those other positions that you just listed, right? I think that's the important question. I still think with that budget that Adalı more or less promised, I think there's still room to fill on those positions.
Yeah.
Maybe not as high as some of us would see for some positions, but I think you could still get really good players, and you would still not be sort of financially struggling. And mind you, I'm saying this based on 100 million budget, right, for this window, and that is including outgoing players, right? Those proceeds, that's also accounted, of course, towards this. So that's the whole picture, right? And if you look at that whole picture, then all of a sudden, 12 million is not that extreme, right? It's doable, I would say.
It's true. I think it all depends a little bit on the fact of whether or not he's going to want a signing bonus as well. And supposedly, well, what Foot Mercato are reporting is 10 million wage, 2 million bonus. So is that's 2 million in bonuses to his wage, or is that 2 million in signing bonus? It doesn't really matter if it boils down to the same thing, 12 million in total. But you're paying a lot of wages there, but you're not paying a fee. So like you said, it's if you think about it like that, it's not that big of a deal. And also, I mean, look, there is talk of a sponsor. And look, I know we've heard this story before when we were talking about Elan Ricardo and Kenny Arroyo. According to Serdal Adalı, that was going to be paid by a sponsor. But I do think this is a little bit different. This is Mohamed Salah we're talking about. I think there's going to be a long line of companies or individuals that want to attach their name to Mohamed Salah coming to Turkey. So I think this is actually a very realistic chance that there's going to be sponsor involvement here, because if you'll remember, one of the people that comes to mind straight away is Hüseyin Yücel. And the only reason I think this might not happen is just because he hasn't been treated very well by Serdal Adalı. I think Serdal Adalı has been disrespectful to him publicly, even after the elections. But if you'll remember, I believe about 18 months ago, about I think the time of the election campaign, Hüseyin Yücel literally said, "My dream signing is Mohamed Salah." He literally said that. And we all know Hüseyin Yücel has plenty of money. I would not be surprised that he says, "Hey, I'll pay for 10 million, or I'll pay his wages or something. I'll cover the wages." He's done it before, right? He did it with Rafa, he did it with Chiro. I would not be surprised if... he covered Rafa's signing bonus of 10 million. He didn't cover the wages, but he's covered the signing bonus. So he's done it before. I would not be surprised if he would happily do it again. And the only reason why I think he might be reluctant to do so is just because of Serdal Adalı. But I think if he's smart about it, he will look past and beyond Serdal Adalı. He'll treat it as it's an opportunity. Exactly. He wants to be Beşiktaş president one day. We all know that he has that ambition. And if he is associated, look at Serdal Adalı. Despite all the boneheaded things that he has done over the years, he is still seen as the man who brought Ricardo Quaresma to Beşiktaş. And he wasn't president at the time. It's not Yıldırım Demirören that is seen as the man who brought Quaresma. It's Serdal Adalı. And Hüseyin Yücel has an opportunity here to be seen as the man who brought Mohamed Salah to Beşiktaş. And any other person for that matter, right? Like anyone can snatch that opportunity to be seen as the guy who paid for that transfer. If you remember Ali Koç back in the day for Fenerbahçe, he paid for Musa Sow when Aziz Yıldırım was the president. So it's not unheard of in Turkish football. And I definitely think that when it comes to a Kenny Arroyo or an Elan Ricardo, I don't think they'll be lining up.
That's incomparable.
No, exactly. They won't be lining up around the block to pay for that. But Mohamed Salah, everyone's gonna want that attachment. Like I would not be surprised if somebody steps up.
but let's be honest. So Elon Ricardo and the other kid, that was a buy-in, or even them in an oath, Adalı something, and Adalı pressured him, said, okay, you need to help me out here.
Yeah,
that's a completely different deal, in my opinion, than this.
Yeah.
So if I can add to the sponsor, so even if not somebody from the Beşiktaş community will pay for it, this is such a big name. Think about, so the board needs to be clever here, right? Call Turkish Airlines. Imagine a commercial, which they've done with multiple VIPs, but imagine that Salah is living in Istanbul, and then make a commercial, and with him, they will gladly pay for it. It will, it will yield definitely a couple of million to do a commercial like that, and they would be interested because he has an international reach. He has a huge reach, right? Especially also in the markets that Turkish Airlines is active.
They'd pull a decade's worth of ads out of that guy.
That's
exactly.
But that's relating to the image rights, like also, and that is something that's still being negotiated about. So they agreed on annual wage already with Salah. So that's already agreed. Now they're still negotiating about image rights. And for example, image rights come into play when it comes to doing these commercials. If you look at Mauro Icardi, for example, at Galatasaray, he did lots of commercials for, what was it, Zenci or
Diamonds.
Yeah, the diamonds.
Yeah.
For the, I think they're artificial diamonds, right? Or what is it? Anyway, he did those commercials, and that money will be his. That's not for Galatasaray, that's for him. But that also brings.
Yeah, but usually
maybe they get a percentage.
Sorry, I just want to add. Exactly. Depending on, so I can imagine. I think they could agree. So I don't think it will be 100%.
Maybe
could be, of course, but I don't think it will be the case with Salah. Mm-hmm. So it would still be sort of recouping some of the salary payment. I'm sure. I think they will negotiate some percentage for Beşiktaş.
Potentially, for sure, that's possible. But there is a lot of extra. Also, this is also to answer Nasser's question of the 20 million. There's a lot of potential extra money for him to earn in Turkey if he comes to Beşiktaş. He can sign deals with the Turkish Airlines. He can sign deals with the Diamonds or whatever, or Big, or I don't know. He can do commercials, earn a lot of money. There's those possibilities for him as well. By the way, apparently he already bought a villa in Bodrum a while ago. So he already has a connection to Turkey, apparently. I don't know how true that is, but that's something I read.
Apparently I also read that his wife wants to live in Istanbul, which
would not
it's one of those scenarios where often a wife is a detriment to us in these stories, right? Like if you're going from the Muslim pool of players, there's a real benefit in that sense.
For sure. Let's see. Yeah, go ahead, Ural.
No, I just want to say, so for people worried about the financial picture, I don't think is as worrisome as you would think at first. But the board needs to be smart about it, and I think they can pull it off, and it wouldn't even be that costly for us at all. Yeah. So you just need to be smart about it, and I think they will. I think they will see this opportunity. Yeah. So taking that into account, then it's not as bad as we think. Mm-hmm. And it's also, I think, explainable to the rest of the team, right? Who are earning much less.
No, I don't.
Yeah. I don't see that as an issue either.
No, I think first and foremost, I think Orkun, the most important thing for him is winning a trophy with Beşiktaş. I think he wants to win a championship, maybe more than one. I think that's his dream. I don't think he cares about, hey, Mohamed Salah and Leandro Trossard are coming in here and they're making more money. I think he only cares, hey, Mohamed Salah and Leandro Trossard are coming in here to help me lift the trophy. That's the only thing Orkun cares about, I think. I also think a guy like Trossard is realistic enough to realize, hey, this is Mohamed Salah we're talking about. And I think that goes for everyone else on that team. Go ahead, sorry.
Umer was joking about Oh Hyun-gyu being upset about he's only making 1.2 million. It's like, I don't think Oh Hyun-gyu is going to be given a 25-goal season on a silver platter. I think he'll take that and take his Premier League move in a heartbeat. I don't think he'll have any sort of problem.
I think the players that could be causing for problems are the ones that you want gone. Al Musrati, Jean Onana, those types are gonna say, "Hey, look what this club is spending. There is money. Why should I leave for anything less than my total amount that I'm owed. You know, let's say I think Musrati still has a year of contract. Let's say he earns 2.8 million a year, and we're like, hey, look, we're gonna let you go on a free. We'll pay you 1.5 million, and you can recuperate the rest at another club. He's gonna say no, thank you. You can pay me the full 2.8.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be an issue there with players that we want to force out of the club, but there's not that many players left who we want gone. There's a couple. There's a Rashica, there's an Onana, there's an Al-Musrati, but that list has significantly shrunk thanks to the efforts of last season. So it's less of a big deal, in my opinion. But that's definitely that is definitely a consequence of spending all this money. That players who you want gone are not gonna leave without taking all of their money, and understandably so. You can't blame them, I think. But that is.
Would this be the biggest transfer in Turkish Super League history?
I don't know.
Someone asked, "Is it bigger than Drogba?"
I don't know. Is it bigger than Drogba?
Drogba.
Oh yeah, I definitely think it's bigger than Drogba. No doubt. Absolutely.
Who would be bigger than Salah?
I mean, I think the only two transfers that come close is Osimhen and Snyder, and the only reason why is because they were.
What about George Hagi?
No, but Hagi was 35, I think, when he came, or 32, 3 years. So my argument is the only reason you can say Osimhen or Snyder is because they were in their primes. Osimhen was 26. I think Snyder was 27. Obviously, Quaresma was also, but like Quaresma was never like he's a cult player. Yeah. But Snyder was Snyder was a 2010 World Cup finalist, 2010 Champions League winner, all that kind of stuff. And obviously Osimhen. Look, Osimhen name-wise is nowhere near what Salah is, but he came in his prime, 26 years old, one of the best strikers in the world at that point in time for an absolutely insane record fee of 75 million. So I still think that is the biggest transfer.
And the verdict is still out.
Yes, but I think that's the biggest transfer in Turkish football history just because of the timing of it, if that makes sense, because he was signed at a peak almost. Well, not exactly at the peak, like the season after, but you know what I mean. And Salah is 34 years old.
Like, what if he flops though, Khan, right? Like, he's young enough that he could theoretically get the big move someday and, like, flop.
Okay, but...
Right? Like, what if he goes to the Premier League and only scores, like,
that doesn't...
8 goals a
that
season?
Does not change...
It's not likely. It's not likely.
Sinan, that changes nothing about the transfer at the time to Turkey. Yeah, that's after. That doesn't matter. I think at the time of the transfer...
But I think when you talk about since we're really talking about profile and reputation and all that, I just mean that Osimhen could still theoretically do damage to his, whereas like most Salah's
I'll frame it like this. I think signing Osimhen in his prime for 75 million euros is an achievement. Is a much bigger achievement. It's a greater achievement than signing a player at 34 on a free transfer.
No doubt.
It doesn't change that Salah is 10 times the player that Osimhen is. 10 times the player that almost everyone else that preceded him in Turkish football is, because I mean there's a couple of names like a George Hagi, obviously. I think Mario Gomez is a pretty big name too. But like, you know, who else is there? Robin van Persie. But Robin van Persie. Who else? Who else comes close?
I think Snyder is maybe the best.
Snyder for sure.
In the chat, Roberto Carlos also mentioned.
Roberto Carlos, 100% Roberto Carlos.
Yeah, that's a great shout.
Roberto Carlos was was not like, I don't remember ever seeing people walk around with another left back's name on their I've seen so many people with a Roberto Carlos shirt in my lifetime. That's the only left back.
Even like Real Madrid people with
I think the only left back who ever achieved that. So Roberto Carlos is definitely. I think, you know, it's probably Salah, Roberto Carlos, and Hagi are probably, and then Snyder, Drogba. But for me, Drogba is lower. You know, like that's my order. I think it's probably Salah, Roberto Carlos, Snyder.
Don't forget,
Haji
you
before
mentioned
Snyder.
Guti
Guti.
and Pepe might be up there.
Pepe is up there. Guti no.
Pepe also
Guti was a big player for Real. Was a very good player for Real Madrid, but he was never that star.
Like a global
star.
Yeah.
Whereas Pepe was
at
at one point or another was seen as one of the best, if not the best defender in the world, right? Same thing with Roberto Carlos, best left back in the world.
Yeah.
So like there's a couple of names I think, but for me I think honestly in terms of name value, Salah is probably the biggest one to ever. If he comes, it's probably the biggest one that ever comes to Turkey. But it at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because the only thing that matters is what happens on the pitch after he arrives. Right? And that's the most important thing. And for me, I think Ural framed it really well. It's not financially. Actually, it's nowhere near as bad as people think. If there's no signing bonus involved, and especially if it's a 1 + 1 year contract,
or at least
based on performances,
minimal
which
one
is being suggested. Yeah, but the biggest question mark for me is we are working on a project now with Vincenzo Italiano. It's gonna be a very high intensity brand of football, high pressing intensity brand of football. And like I said, look, Salah played that type of football for years at Liverpool, but he's getting older, he's getting on in age. Can he still do that? That's my biggest concern: is does it really fit the project that Italiano wants to build, right? And for me, the only thing that really matters is Italiano really comfortable with it? Does he sign off on it? Then I have no problem with it. That's for me the single most important thing. But if you're forcing this player on Italiano, then I have a problem with it. That is my take on it. Like honestly, that's the single most important thing. I think Vincenzo Italiano is central to the project. He needs to sign off on it. And on one hand, I like the fact that the news was shared by Sercan Dikme that Beşiktaş have basically agreed terms with Salah. Beşiktaş now will discuss with the coach if he is okay with it, and if he gives the go-ahead, then it's a go. But I like the fact that he's reporting that because that suggests that at least the coach has a say in it. What I don't like about that is if we don't sign him now, all the fans that really want Salah are going to blame Italiano. And Italiano is going to start not 1-0, not 2-0, but 5-0 down. He's going to start with a forfeit loss, right? That is the danger of that sharing that type of news. That's the only thing I don't like about it. But if Italiano wants Salah, then I want Salah. That's my opinion.
But if I can be the board's advocate, I think what they're proposing is not that bad. If you were, let's say, defending the Italiano perspective, because it's 1 year, right? Potentially +1, so it's 1 + 1. So even for his project, which let's assume it's 3 years, right? This contribution that Salah can give in that 1 year is either really good, and then we really then hit the top spots in the league, right? And then you have Europe, then it's all great. If it's not that good, then what's the impact for Italiano, right? And he could say, okay, after a year, let's not take the option and let's look for another player. It's not that. I don't think that's a bad proposition from the coach perspective, who I think also appreciates that he would want to work with such a big player.
No.
If it was 3 years, 4 years, then I would definitely agree with you, because then you're stuck. So to say.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to make
I'll raise you one more chip or whatever. I'll raise you. I think you can even make the argument that Vincenzo Italiano has already been acknowledged as having an innovative, novel coach that's recognized kind of globally, even at this point. And so coming to a club like Beşiktaş is like upping the threshold of what his system can achieve, right? Having access to slightly more funds, slightly better players. So in a sense, right, like this is exactly the type of thing he's come to test himself, right? Like this is what he wants to see if he can achieve. If bringing in top level talent can make his system really, take over the world in theory. And
it will also be an advantage.
You mentioned it too, right? It's a perfect match.
And it will be an advantage for him as well, right, Sinan? Because we talked about this in, I think, my interview with Nima. that for Italiano, Beşiktaş is an opportunity for him to get taken more seriously by the top Italian clubs. If he has 2 or 3 good seasons here at Beşiktaş, wins some trophies. Yeah, or
right?
Yeah, for sure. But this is for him.
Remember, we were on the market for Hansi Flick about 2 years ago, right? Like crazier things have happened. Right?
So it's for Italiano. It's also Beşiktaş, like you said, an opportunity to maybe have some bigger budget, work with some bigger stars. I do think, and to the point of Ural, he's gonna maybe want to work with Salah, but also I think it's a good thing as a coach to have the reputation of he can work with older established stars, because when you go to a Real Madrid or a Juventus or an Inter Milan or whatever, you're going to inevitably run into a 34, 35-year-old aging superstar that you're going to have to make work. Or you're going to run into a Kylian Mbappe who is in his prime, but very high maintenance perhaps. And you're going to have to show that you can keep those types happy as well, because at the end of the day, Italiano can be the most innovative coach in the world. He also has to be able to work with star players, because otherwise you're never going to get picked for those top jobs. Because if you can't work with star players, then they don't want you, because their teams are built around star players, right?
And he becomes like a network, right? He becomes a key resource as far as networking and having a reputation with players of that caliber, right? Like having a good relationship with a guy like Mo Salah will have an incredible trickle-down effect as far as other players being like, oh, I heard Italiano is really good to play with.
Yeah, and with enough mental gymnastics, we can frame this as being beneficial, very beneficial to Italiano's career as well. But if you think about it from a certain point of view, it could be, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I fully agree. So I don't think that's the issue. I fully agree with the part that you said, okay, let's say this deal doesn't go through, and then they will frame it as if that would be horrible.
For sure.
Yeah, that would be horrible. That I fully agree. That should not be.
But Adalı, that would again be that's almost tantamount to firing Ole after game 1. It's shooting himself in the foot if he were to play that narrative, right?
For sure.
Like he's kind of tied himself.
Yeah.
He's tied himself to that ship a little bit. So if he were to do that, like. Good riddance to you too, I guess.
I think we're. I mean, I made the joke in the group chat. I don't know if I could, basically, unless Adalı practices coitus interruptus, this has to happen at this point, right? Or this gonna happen at this point, and I think it has to now. They're just this accelerated so quickly and
too much smoke,
and snowballed so
smoke.
Quickly. But you're almost at a point of no return now, where you're basically, if you don't sign him at this point, you're gonna get major backlash, and either you're going to face that backlash yourself, which Adalı I don't think he can afford, or you're gonna put the backlash on the new coach, which is even worse in my opinion. So at this point, you're already at the point of no return, where you almost have to deliver on this now. And
was the post of the board member real? Because that would be adding to your or underlining your argument. Yeah. Because if that board member really posted hashtag Salah, then
he just put his position on the board, certainly on the line, no doubt.
You better get him then, right? You cannot do that. That's well, I don't know if it's real. I just saw it.
I mean, I've seen it as well. It got shared by a lot of big Beşiktaş accounts, so I think it's real. I haven't fact checked it myself. I would hope that
but it should be guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
You cannot do that, man. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I agree. And
that's sort of telling. I mean, I at this point, I feel like we've talked ourselves into it from all the angles, and like I think. I wouldn't be like, oh, the season's over, we didn't get Mo Salah. There are other options that could satisfy us, no doubt.
For sure. I mean, look, I think we started this window, didn't we? You know, with kind of wanting to see young blood added to the mix, right? And it also
I was really excited about Fatawu. I mean, that's the thing.
sure.
Plan B would be thrilling for me too.
And
So,
honestly,
no,
that would
I,
still be a good signing, even with a Mo Salah, right? You know, because like
maybe even better.
in an ideal world, we get rid of Rashica and Černý, bring in Salah, and then bring in another winger that can play on both wings, ideally. You know.
And you have the sort of master and the apprentice scenario, right, where you have a really young, talented, speedy guy who has a lot of the instincts Mo Salah does. I mean, I watched Ghana's games. I don't even know why I was, I was interested in. I guess I like their jerseys, maybe, something stupid and superficial, but Fatawu, like, he wasn't even starting often. He'd sort of come off the bench and immediately provide a spark for them. That was like, what the hell? Like, these guys were playing so poorly and defensively, and suddenly they bring this guy on, and he's like pushing them forward almost single-handedly. So he showed a little bit of that that spunk. So yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like that'd be a great, put him under Mo Salah's tutelage for a minute or two.
There's several clubs interested in him, though, from the Premier League and from the
that's what I've heard.
Championship. West Ham, I think, wants him, and they just went down to the Championship, of course. But they're going to be losing. What's his name?
Morgan. Is that that's Aston Villa with Morgan.
Doesn't what's his name again? Somerville. Doesn't he play for West Ham? Correct me if I'm wrong, Will.
And that would be he's definitely upward bound.
I think he plays there. Right? Doesn't Somerville play for West Ham? So and obviously there's suitors for him. So, but I think he's a left winger, right? So and Fatawu is a right winger.
West Ham.
Yeah. So,
West Ham.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, regardless, there's competition there, but it doesn't have to be Fatawu. It can be someone else. But let's not forget we got Ilhan Fakula, who looked good in the friendlies. Has scored 2 goals already.
He's been a bright spot in an otherwise sort of uneventful preseason.
And we've gone from no left wingers to now Leandro Trossard and Ilhan Fakula. And on the other end, maybe we can have Černý and Mo Salah. I prefer someone else instead of Černý, quite frankly, because I think we also saw this past season Černý mentally. I don't know. I have my questions about.
Dude, I feel like the thing is with the Mo Salah is I feel like he raises the performances of people around him.
Maybe
just because they're like, holy shit, I'm in the training room with freaking Mo Salah. Like I want to impress this guy.
Definitely have a
not to mention, right? Like. And a guy like Černý is going to be fighting for his minutes, and so he's going to want to show out whenever it does get any sort of playing time. You'd think.
I think we can all agree that Rashica has to go, but Černý, we can definitely talk ourselves into staying. I mean, look, at the end of the day, he's
I'm on. Yeah,
but if
we get a young guy, like I'd be thrilled to see him go.
But if
I'd be pretty happy to see him stay.
If the interest from Rangers is true and they're willing to offer upwards of €6 million for him, I think we should sell him. There's also been rumors of Oğuz Aydın from Fenerbahçe. Right. I think that would be maybe a better fit because he's Turkish, and he can play as a backup to Salah. Then
it would help the NT, right? It would help the NT a lot.
It would help the national
for him to be
also.
under Mo's tutelage.
A question to you guys: does the addition of Salah change the profile that you would want to see on midfield? Because there was talk: do we need an 8? Do we need 8.5? Do we need a 10?
Yes, good question.
So how do you view that with with Salah coming and the way that he plays?
Great question.
Does that, in your opinion, change the player that we're looking for, or do we need to look for?
Yeah,
on midfield.
I think it does.
Feel like maybe this is a hot take. I wonder if you guys will agree with me, but I feel like if you have Mo and Trossard on the flanks and whoever we have up front, I think you can very easily get away with a Sally and Ndidi backline with Orkun in front of them.
You could, for sure.
Right? Because, right, like with Orkun being the third best chance creator, like in that front line behind a striker. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like,
No, for sure.
I don't even want to say it.
We saw in the friendlies, or in the friendly already, that Italiano was actually utilizing Ndidi higher up the pitch. He was using him as an 8 pressing forward, and mainly using him in the press, and then allowing Orkun and Salih to do most of the ball playing. So that could work, but I think Ndidi will leave. I think the interest from Saudi is strong enough. I think they will push and will sign him for 10 million, which now opens up the opportunity to bring in someone else. But I think that could definitely be an idea. But supposedly we were looking for number 10. I do think that if Salah comes, you're probably better off with a Jetson type, somebody that has a lot of that has 6 lungs, that can cover a lot of ground, that can contribute both in defense and in attack. I think that would be the ideal profile. I think Orkun, Jetson, Salih, and then having Leandro Trossard and Salah, and then whoever is up top. I think that for me, an 8.5 type profile, or just an attacking 8 is a better fit than a 10. Even if it's a modern 10, obviously a 10 is not what it used to be back in the day, because we see a lot. I mean, I feel like for about a decade and a half, the 10 was completely gone out of football, and the last 5-10 years maybe the 10 is back. But it's not the traditional 10 of before, the lazy almost playmaker that only really contributed to attack and had brilliant vision, brilliant passing, good goal scoring ability, but didn't help out defensively. That profile of 10 doesn't exist anymore. Well, you still have a couple of old school 10s, but I think the new 10s are more like a Orkun, right? Very intense, hardworking, but also brilliant. Going forward, and I think that could work. Like a Sosa type could definitely work, but yeah, I think a Jetson type would also be really good. But what I also think, guys, is not just Trossard, because apparently this was posted in Bild about Alexander Nubel's reason for picking Beşiktaş was he was convinced by the fact that Beşiktaş were very serious about acquiring Trossard. And mind you, they hadn't signed Trossard yet at the time, but Bild wrote this, that apparently that was one of the deciding factors for Nubel to come to Beşiktaş. I would not be surprised that the transfer of Trossard, but also potentially the transfer of Salah, could have a snowball effect on a Dusan Vlahovic. I think of Vlahovic, who was very much standoffish and wanting to evaluate the offers and see what top 5 league clubs were interested in him. I think that an arrival of Mo Salah could also convince him and make him more eager to come to Beşiktaş. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but yeah, I would not be surprised.
I mean, who wouldn't want to play with Mo Salah? I think honestly, especially when he still has some gas in the tank. Sure, it's the tail end of the career, but we've all seen some pretty high quality performances very recently.
Yeah. But no João Felix then as a profile.
Well,
if Salah comes,
look,
I'll
João Felix is obviously another very interesting player, but I think you do run into a problem at some point where you have Orkun at 5 million, you have Leandro Trossard at 6.5, you have Salah at 10, and then you maybe bring in Dusan Vlahovic at 8. If you then also bring in a João Felix, who is making 17.5 million in Saudi Arabia, maybe you bring him in on loan and you only play half his wages or something, but then you're still paying close to 10 million euros a year. I think you're starting to pile up the big contracts a bit too much. I
think he meant in lieu of
in profile.
Of Salah,
I know what. Oh, you mean instead of Salah?
No, but you're right. He wouldn't come cheap.
No, No,
he wouldn't.
and
not instead as an addition.
Yeah, I don't.
As our midfield option.
I'm not familiar enough with.
Oh wow, you have him as your 10.
I'm not familiar enough with Joao Felix's work rate to answer that. I feel. I don't know how much.
Yeah, that might be a little too.
Yeah, I don't know how much he contributes defensively.
Although my cousin Vinny loves to attack. We know that. He's he's not shy about attacking.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Now we're having a little bit too much fun. I don't know about all this.
It's a Mendes player, so you know how that goes, right?
That's right. We've already got the fast track, I guess.
But that's one of those things. I know people like to joke about the Mendes players and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, he's arguably, since the passing of Mino Raiola, the biggest agent in the world.
Yeah.
You're gonna be hard pressed to find really good players that aren't managed by him, right? So it's I feel like our fans
or really good clubs who don't have players managed by him, right? Like he's that ubiquitous.
It's like, for me, I don't care who a player's manager is if it's a good player. I really don't. I don't care if it's Mendes or if it's anyone else. I don't give a shit. Of course, if a player is brought in and you're kind of like, who's this guy? I don't know if he's actually what we need. And then it turns out that it's Mendes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, with the history.
It's like, oh, how'd that happen?
Yeah, then you're going to...
Bebe? Are you talking about Bebe?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but that's, to be honest, so he's a spider so if you see those transactions, a player going out there, and so this man is the puppet master, right? So he really plays. So you see that. And you play a role in it, and you just need to be sort of careful for your own position. But you're dependent on those type of brokers, so to say. Yeah. But he does it well. Let's be honest, and you cannot avoid it completely. But you need to be careful with this guy because he's slicker than
No. If you're like Man City, you can just take your pick of whoever you want. You can play games like that where it's like, I don't want to mess around with the shady character. If you can,
you can't even, man.
If you can avoid his players,
no, but
even
Man City,
it's probably not beneficial to.
No, they can't not work with a guy like that. It's impossible. Like, clubs have tried in the past. It's just there's clubs that try to not work with Mino Raiola in the past, and they just can't. It's if you want the best players, you have to work with these people.
At a certain point.
And the best players want to be represented by these types because they know they're gonna get them the best deals. So.
We have a new comment from a new commenter, Cry My Name 100. He goes, guys, I don't feel good about Salah. What do you think? My man, you just missed the whole episode.
Rewind.
No, but
go back and start from the beginning. Yeah. You'll know how.
I think for some people it's very much going to be like the striped jersey. They're gonna have to they're gonna have to grow accustomed to it a little bit. They're gonna have to. But at the end of the day, it's one of the top 5 best players in the world of the last decade. That's just.
It's probably top 3. It's probably top 3.
But that's my since I heard this news, that's been my sort of my feeling, right? So objectively, all the arguments, they make sense, but subjectively also because it's Mo Salah who's going to say no to such a profile, to such a legend, right? So that's difficult. Yeah, so. I was about to ask. Do you know what his argument is to not?
Look. I think Kartal is not a fan of older players like this. I think Kartal very much wants players that, especially with Italiano now, wants players that are going to be able to play that pressing game. Yeah. But look, Kartal's that's just the way he thinks about it, and I understand, but. In the past, he also felt the same way about Hulk, and I wish we would have signed that guy because you remember we were gonna sign him in the January 2021 window when we brought Cenk back because Abubakar was injured, and if you look at the career Hulk has had since then, he was 34 already at that point, so Kartal felt very much the same about it at the time. And if you look at the career that Hulk has had since he's scored over 100 goals again since then, banger after banger after banger. Like, if we would have brought him then, we might have won a second title on the bounce. But obviously, when your opinion is formed like that, you're gonna be right more often than you're gonna be wrong. Because most of the time, signing older players who are, at the end of the day, Father Time is undefeated. You're gonna be right most of the time, because I think the Hulks of the world are gonna be the exception, and I think we have to hope and pray that Salah can give us one or even two great more years. And I do not think that last season at Liverpool is an accurate reflection of what he can still do.
No.
I think there was too much going on at Liverpool at the time, and at the end of the day, like I said, he still had 22 goal contributions in 41 appearances. I mean, if he comes in and he does that as the bare minimum, that's still going to be good. It's not going to be the greatest, but, to a question that Nasser asked earlier, he said, with the current squad, but let's add Mohamed Salah to the mix now, what do Beşiktaş need to do to have a successful season? Guys, if you sign Salah, what do Beşiktaş need to do to have a successful season?
I'm going to be 1,000% honest right now. I think you sell the riffraff, you bring in another striker, and everything else is icing on the cake. I think you win the league with that.
Yeah, but is that the requirement to say it was a success this season? Do you have to win the league? Or,
I mean, I think that any Beşiktaş fan in their right mind, if we're going into match day 32, and we are within striking distance of the title, and we actually care about what's happening in the world of football, and it's again May. If it's May and we haven't checked out,
but that's
I think people will.
But that
probably viewed as
that's
success. I mean, and also it's dependent. It's the only reason I can't answer that definitively is also it depends on what our rivals do on the seasons they have.
Yeah,
but if they're kind of if Galatasaray puts out the season they did last year, where they were sort of hesitantly the champion, kind of muddling through much of the year, and we don't, win that title, that's a disappointment. But if it's like the year before and Galatasaray is clicking on all cylinders, if they make one or two big moves and it's like they're like 112 points, going into the final match day, like I guess there's a world where that's acceptable. I mean, it's too dependent on other factors, but you gotta be up there, damn near close to a title for sure, right? You gotta be fighting for that title till the last match day, basically, at the very least.
What do you think, Koral? What?
Yeah, for me, I think it's. I'm also going to be honest. I don't want to tie this investment to say, okay, we got these players, thus we need to become champion. I think we had horrible couple of years. We have a new trainer, coach, new players coming in. We're building something here, so that needs some time, right? Obviously, you would want that to progress very quickly. However, I'm also taking into account that might not happen all in one season. If it happens, fantastic. If it doesn't happen, I'm not disappointed. I would be disappointed if we do not have a style that we cannot show what style we're playing. If we have that and we're a team and it's like an engine that runs very smooth and we do not have to clinch our butt cheeks every game, then I'm already, and that's very low bar. I understand that, but then I would already be satisfied. If we can play great games and we can enjoy those games, then I'm already really happy, and then the wins will come.
Depending on when that click comes, and I think that is very important because we talked about this off air so much already. Like, the Italiano brand of football is gonna take probably 2-3 months for the team to really. And obviously, look, it's gonna improve as time goes on even more because a lot of it is based on automatisms and things that you have to get in there and that they have to stick and that players need to learn. It's gonna take a little bit of a while. But depending on when they make that click and once it starts rolling and it becomes a well-oiled machine, if it happens early enough in the season, or if you can prevent dropping too many points early on in the season, I think if you get to that point, I don't see a Fenerbahce or a Galatasaray being able to replicate that because they're not coached by a similar caliber of coach, in my opinion. So if you
And Khan,
Mm,
sorry,
yeah,
I was going to say, I think your argument would lend itself to the fact that it almost makes sense to get Mo Salah just so that you know for sure that you have enough talent to get
Yeah,
you through that
maybe.
initial potential stumbling block,
Mhm,
right?
maybe, yeah.
So that,
Good
you know,
point.
you'll have guys who can lift you up and get you those results
Yeah,
while
yeah.
you're kind of stumbling through the learning process.
Yeah,
And then,
that's a good point.
you know,
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
so to answer Nasser's question, in my opinion, if you do bring in a Mo Salah, and then if you end up bringing in a good striker, and like let's say you bring in Vlahovic, and you bring in, I think if you complete the puzzle, that's very important. Then I think you already owe it to yourself to win something. Now, whether that's winning the league or whether that's winning a cup is not
Europa League?
cup is not enough. But like I'm almost in the opinion.
Europa
No,
League.
but I'm almost in the position where I think it might even be a blessing in disguise for Beşiktaş to get knocked out against Midtjylland, to drop down to the Conference League, not fuck up,
And
and
take it.
actually get into the Conference League, because instead of 8 league stage matches, you only have 6 league stage matches. That gives you a slight advantage in the Super League. And also, I think you have a way more realistic opportunity to win the Conference League. Add to that the Conference League final is in our stadium. Yeah, if you end up winning the season, either winning the Super League or winning the Conference League, I think that's a success. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a success. But if you, but you need to do, yeah, I think you need to win something. Yeah, I almost think you owe it to yourself if you do these investments. But on the other end of the spectrum, look what Galatasaray have already invested. Look at what Fenerbahce are investing. You are, at the end of the day, rivaling 2 clubs who are outspending you. Even if you bring in a Salah and a Trossard and a Vlahovic, they are still outspending you. So, yeah, it's tough. You can't definitively say, oh, we have to win the league now. Yeah, you have to get Champions League football from a financial point of view. You can say that. I don't think you can say you have to win the league because you're fighting with 2 clubs that have more money to spend. And you have to hope that your coach is better. Your players perform better, they're better fits, they have better chemistry and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you're competing with a club that's won 4 titles in a row and that is keeping together that squad to the most part. And okay, look, Icardi's gone now. Muslera left last season. There's still talk about Torreira leaving and some other players. So we don't know what Galatasaray we're gonna see in 1.5 month time when the transfer window closes. But Fenerbahce, we already kind of know what they're gonna do, right? Like they already had a pretty significant midfield. They added Mason Greenwood to that mix now, who's a top winger, top goal scoring winger. If they can add, they added Vedat Muric. If they can add a top striker to that mix as well, yeah. We don't know what we're gonna be competing with, like you said, guys. So it's a tough one to answer, but with our squad right now, we definitely need to do a lot better than we did the last couple of seasons. We need to compete. Whether it's win the title or not, that's one thing, but you have to compete until the very last match days. I think you need to go far in Europe, so you can't afford to pull another stint like we did last season, or stunt, I should say, like we did last season and go out early. So, yeah, I think, yeah.
No, that should not happen, of course.
No.
Obviously, that's especially with this investment and changes.
But
etc.
the challenges,
But of course, you never know.
but the challenge is these early qualifiers, though, Ural, because our team is not ready. We can be honest about that.
No.
And I think Beşiktaş right now and Beşiktaş in a month is not going to be the same thing as Beşiktaş in 2 or 3 months. I think Beşiktaş in 2 or 3 months, you can start judging Beşiktaş, I think in 2 or 3 months' time, then you can start saying, okay, they're playing good football, they're not playing good football. These transfers worked out, these transfers did not work out. But Midtjylland, for example, you can't base anything off it really because it's too early. They are further along in their preparations. They have a much better team unit in the sense that they have already built up chemistry. Their coach has been there for over a year. They have foundations laid down already. We haven't. I think we're facing them too early. If we manage to get past them, that would be an achievement on Italiano's behalf. That would be a big feather on his cap, in my opinion, because I think Midtjylland are the favorites in this tie. And then, obviously, look, depending on what happens in that game, you still have to survive 2 other qualifying rounds as well. So it's very well possible that we end up with a really good team in 2 to 3 months' time, but that because of these qualifiers coming so early, that we end up with another season without Europe. I pray to whatever is up there that doesn't happen, but it's not unrealistic. It can happen. You know, we won't have Leandro Trossard, and we probably won't have Salah, even if he signs tomorrow.
Yeah. No, fair enough. So that's very difficult, and we set ourselves up greatly. But we already knew that, of course. But having said that, so to come to your Europa League versus Conference League, I believe if the fixtures are correct, it looks like the Conference League side is much you have more difficult opponents than the Europa League in the qualifiers at least. So how do you feel about that? So it looks like if you can get past Midtjylland, then you have easier opponents.
Yeah.
In the next qualifier, then you would get in the Conference League.
Yes,
qualifier.
but I do think that the opponents that from that post that we saw were some of the that wasn't the entire list, I don't think, and those were some of the tougher ones for sure, and that did not look fun either. I agree with you. Yeah, and also a question here from John isn't it counterintuitive to drop down to the Conference League because yes, you will play less games in the league stage, but you will probably go further in that tournament, so you will still end up playing more matches. That's a good point, but I think in the Conference League, once you get there to that stage, there's a realistic chance that you go all the way. And if you can get to a final in your own stadium, and you have an opportunity to win the first ever European trophy in your club's history, I think that's bigger than the league. To me, winning the Conference League is 10 times more valuable than winning the Super League. Even though winning the Super League would get you Champions League money. So financially, winning the Super League is more interesting. But just, getting a first European trophy, that would be so much bigger in my opinion. So...
No, well, to be honest, it would definitely be, because that would mean everybody would tie it. Okay, they got Trossard, they got Salah, and whoever is added, and then they win the Conference League. That's that would be huge. Also for future transfers, that's good advertising. That's really good advertising.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, I think it guarantees you a spot in the Europa League next season, which is, that's something, right? It's But it's
Well, luckily, Aras Şimşek is
now we just have to.
So
I kind of watched their friendly today. Francolino, I think, scored 2 goals. It would be really nice if the Saudis who are interested in Francolino could wrap that transfer up before the game next Thursday, because that's he's gonna be a problem otherwise, especially if our guys at the back aren't 100% paying attention like they were in the last friendly. So yeah. Anyway, guys, it's I think it's time to wind down. Sinan, you had to go at 9, didn't you?
Oh, I'm fine for now. No,
you're
I'm
fine
good now. Yeah, I moved the class back, but
okay, but it's 9 o'clock.
But
so.
Oh, maybe I got the time wrong. No, I still have another hour.
Oh, you have another hour?
But,
okay.
Yeah.
You're sure, right? I don't want to...
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I hope so. What do I know? Yeah, I mean, it should. It's still good to wind down
Alright,
if
no.
we're winding down.
No, I was gonna wrap up.
I have one
but,
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have one question before you wrap up. Then.
No, but we can keep going a
so-
little bit longer then. So, but go ahead.
Yeah. I'm not in that much of a rush. Yeah.
So, in light of the opening statements about the Trossard presentation, I know you guys talked about Trossard, of course, but now then the transfer happened, etc. I think the attention was great. I think the player seemed actually happy, but I think there's also a bit of a cultural difference if you look at the comments, because some say, okay, Trossard doesn't look very pleased or happy. His mimics are not as people would expect.
Oh yeah.
But especially you, Kaan, coming from Belgium, you know the culture
Our
much
Belgian
better.
interpreter.
Is this so? Is he really happy, or is there something there, or is this just misinterpretation of body language?
No, this is definitely
and
misinterpretation.
the way he
No,
is?
that's misinterpretation of body language 100%. No. Trossard is a very down-to-earth person. No. He you could see at several moments that he was impressed and that I think he didn't regret his choice. Not yet, at least. But I also
give him a little time.
I also have strong hunches that he was very much. I think he very much knew what he was getting into, because he's born in Maasmechelen, which is not too far from Maastricht, I believe, but also not too far from Genk. Obviously, he was a Genk Academy project. Genk is a city with a very big Turkish population. He undoubtedly had Turkish friends growing up, Turkish friends in the youth teams as well and stuff like that. I think he's gonna be at least to a certain point familiar with Turkish culture and Turkish football. I think he made a choice. I think he very much knew what he was getting into. I don't think he regrets it at all. I don't think he is blindly falling into an adventure that, like a Thomas Meunier, for example. You know, he went to Turkey, went to Trabzon. I think he kind of regretted his choice and left relatively quickly. I think a boy from Genk, a guy from Maasmechelen, a boy from Genk, he knows what he's getting into. He knows the culture. And just, you know, that's just the way he is. He's not a overly emotional guy. I think he's very maybe a little bit of a. He's also not the type in the team, I know, that he's not somebody who talks a lot. He's a bit of an introvert. I don't think he is that type of personality that will be. But if you even remember, I think Quaresma, during his signing ceremony, it's not like Quaresma was dancing and no, I mean, I think he was also a little bit almost intimidated, I think, by the occasion. And I think that's, I mean, you have to keep in mind there's I don't know how many people showed up for Trossard, but I think there was at least 10,000 people there. That's different when you're stepping on the pitch as part of a team and you're in front of 50,000 people. It's not the same thing than stepping on to a presentation where there's 15,000 people there only for you. It is a very different situation. Everyone's looking at you. It's
impressive.
Yeah, of course.
It was impressive, I would say. Where do you see such a welcoming players like this? So
yeah.
No, but I also feel the same. So I think he's pleased, he's happy.
Yeah.
I think it's misinterpretation and people expect a little bit of different appears or showing some more emotional smiling. But I don't think that should be misinterpreted indeed. No. Adding to that question, what do you guys thought about this Üçlü? Because of course Beşiktaş started. Beşiktaş was the one who invented the Üçlü, and you have the classic one, the original one, and he did a different one. So what do you guys think about that? That he was taught a variation of the Üçlü and not the original one.
I liked it, actually. I think he was. I think he knew what he was doing.
The multiple shushes, right? He had the multiple shushes.
No, I mean, to me, that shows me.
I thought he was building it up. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, to me, that shows me that he knew what he was getting into, and I thought he also did a good Üçlü. because very often you see players arriving at the airport and stuff, and they go like.
Yeah,
But his counts were good. No, I think he did. I think he did a good job, and I like the fact that he was into it. Clearly, teasing the fans a little bit. Yeah,
he was definitely getting the crowd going. I thought he was a bit of a showman. You want a showman, right? For what we need.
No. Yeah, exactly. I liked it. I don't know what did you how did you interpret that? Ural, did you like it or did you dislike it?
No, so the thing is that sort of the hardcore Beşiktaş people that really like the original one, they want to see the original one. So they were like, why did they teach him a variation and not the original one first?
But didn't he?
So it's a bit of a.
He did one. But he did one when he just exited the building from the airport. I think didn't he do the normal one then, or did he also do the?
No, I think he. Yeah, I think he did the multiple shushing.
Okay,
yeah.
he did.
Yeah,
I know.
I believe so.
I know he did the multiple shushing one when he got in, when he was about to leave and then came back out. Then he did it, and I know he did it in the stadium as well. But I don't remember if he did the original for variation initially or not. But I liked it because to me that showed that he was into it.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of
I agree.
Very often I have the impression that
knew what to do.
Yeah, often I have the impression that they kind of almost it feels like an obligation to do it, or maybe not feels like an obligation, but they do it.
No, I know. I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
And this made me feel more like he was into it, like he wanted to prolong it as well, which is proof that he was into it.
I have another angle.
Also want to do it. Yeah.
That was my angle. I actually think that he saw his son enjoying it.
Yeah.
And the first time he did it, his son was a little scared, but then his son kind of got into it, and so I think he was kind of having a little fun with his son. Like, look what we just arrived to, man. This is pretty cool, right? So, I mean, I'm a sucker for a family man.
Well,
ever since Kyle Larin.
Unfortunately, he's divorced, so he's not really a family man at the moment.
A good father. A good father.
I thought it was very interesting that he actually brought both his sons with him to the airport because his ex-wife was not there. I think he had an au pair. I think he had an au pair with him.
Wasn't there something about a wife coming before him to scout it out? Is he remarried?
That was Alexander Nubel.
Oh, that was Nubel. That's right.
So
that's
right.
Who was the lady?
I don't know, but Kim we were watching it, and Kim said, asked, "Is that his nanny then or something?" And then she went to look up what his ex-wife looked like, and it wasn't his ex-wife. And she said, "Well, and she doesn't really look like a footballer's girlfriend either." So she suspected it was the nanny or the au pair
or an au pair or something.
Yeah. So I thought that.
But she got some prime time.
Yeah, but I think
she just became Turkey's hottest au pair.
But it's also pretty interesting though because I think a lot of players would opt for the option to leave their kids at home, but he brought them with him, which is
no, that's why
cool.
For me that's a family man move.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
A family
100%.
man move.
Yeah, definitely.
So we can still. So there's still the chance for Anne Hathaway then to come in and live in Istanbul.
Yeah. I had to look that up because I was like, is he dating Anne Hathaway? What's going on?
Not yet.
No. But apparently Anne Hathaway is a pretty big Arsenal fan, and she was like on the red carpet or something, but like following a game on her phone or something, and then Trossard scored, and she interrupted an interview and started shouting, I love you, or something, and that's where apparently there's like
and the next day he was divorced.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
I think we just got the origin story.
Yeah. No, but I liked I didn't think it was the most impressive one, the most impressive signing ceremony, but I think it's impossible to top the Orkun one. That's and the Sergen one was also incredible, and the Quaresma one was incredible, and the Guti one was pretty damn good too. Guti, yeah, because I think Quaresma and Guti I don't remember exactly, but I think they were both. At least the Quaresma one, I think, was a full stadium. It was like 32,000 people there, I think. And Orkun, I think that was pretty much a full stadium too. And Sergen was very full as well. And this was, I think, 2 sections, but well filled.
Yeah, definitely.
But it wasn't
for Thursday afternoon.
Oh, for sure.
I think it was.
No.
So for Thursday, I think it was.
I was
great.
I was a little worried that the turnout would be disappointing, but I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was good. It was, but it's impossible to match Orkun and Orkun was. That was also like, that was an event that you could not miss as a Beşiktaş fan. I think if you as a Beşiktaş fan were in Turkey, you had to go there. It's like a date with destiny, and so was Quaresma, I think, and maybe even Sergen. Whereas I think this was like really cool, great signing. Let's go if you're able to, but it wasn't like, okay, the entire stadium's gonna fill up. Mohamed Salah, that could be
especially crazy.
That could be full stadium. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my
but
god,
that could be a full
they're gonna be. They might have to have like viewing outside of the stadium for that. That's gonna be.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Hope we can see
the airport scene from Mo Salah is gonna be. I mean, we will have never.
I'm not sure if this is true, but I read it. I read online that apparently Greenwood was arriving as well, like a little later or something. I don't know, or at the same, or roughly the same time. I don't know. He was arriving, and apparently Fenerbahce fans were heading to this airport, and they encountered the Beşiktaş fans, and they dispersed and went back home. I read this. I don't know if it's true, but I feel like it's.
Greenwood came in a different day.
Did he?
The Canaries in the coal mine they didn't survive.
I don't know.
They didn't survive.
I think did he come on a different day? I think he came the same day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, damn it. I like that story. Forget Udall. We're not listening. Fake news.
Yeah, I like my story better. No, but I read this on Twitter and I was like, "Is this can't be true, right? It has to be a joke." But I was like, fuck it. I'll buy into it.
I like it. Let's report it anyway. Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah.
But did you hear about what's the player from Trabzon that's going to Fiorentina? That crazy deal for 30 million.
Christ.
I mean,
I'm
surprised. I'm surprised Fiorentina would pay a fee like that, because I didn't know they were capable of that. Honestly, I didn't know Fiorentina was able to pay fees like that.
Crazy money, of course. But so apparently, what they did, the player went to the airport to fly to Fiorentina for medical, etc.
Yeah.
But there were some, I guess it were Renklis, who were trying to. So they approached the player and said, "Well, there are other offers, etc., etc." So they tried to snatch him from the airport. Say, "Don't go. There's different offers."
Yeah.
So just people pretending to be managers.
Oh.
And they tried to not get him on the plane. So. And the Trabzon representatives, they were also about to meet with him on the airport to put him on the plane to ensure that that he's going to go to Fiorentina. So they tried to snatch the player from the airport.
So Trabzon fans were trying to prevent it, or what? Or
No. They suspect either Gala or Fener. I don't know who's interested in him, but they suspect.
Really? Wow.
Trying to defuse the whole deal. And apparently he sort of listened to them and he was sort of, "Hey, what's happening? Should I call my manager? That's
insane.
That's the story. But
supposedly Fenerbahce were pushing for Onwachu. And Trabzon told them, "Yeah, sure, we can talk for 40 or 50 million."
Wow.
I have to say, I've said this so many times, and I said it at the time before Trabzon signed him. Onuachu, Fenerbahce should stop signing stupid players. Sign Onuachu. If they would have signed Onuachu 2 years ago, they would have been champion twice. 100% saying that.
Yeah.
No. I mean,
so John is saying it. Ulay was actually kidnapped pretty much, and his dad too. So he was there with his father when they attempted it.
That's crazy.
That's
crazy. I mean, that does sound like an Aziz Yildirim move, but
Classic.
Was it a Jeep?
Yeah.
If it was a Jeep, then we know who it. Oh, no, wait, what? Wait, Range Rover, right? Was it Range Rover that Mehmet Topuz got abducted in? I was thinking it was a Range.
That's
so.
right. Yeah.
I think it was Range
Range
Rover. Yeah. I mean, hey,
Crazy stuff.
Trabzon, they're going to be an interesting side this season. I think it's going to be a really interesting season. I really hope we're not going to... I hope we can have a good season. And yeah, I just hope that kind of everyone delivers almost. Oh, well, you know what? Actually, no. Galatasaray can have an off season. 4 on the bounce is enough, guys. You guys can take a break. But, like, I genuinely hope Fenerbahce, Beşiktaş, Galatasaray, no, not Galatasaray, and Trabzonspor are gonna have a decent season, so that we can, at the end of the season, say that was a really entertaining season. Obviously, I want us to end up on top, you know. But I wouldn't want a season where Galatasaray are shit, Fenerbahce are shit, Trabzon are shit, and we win the league. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I feel like it's shaping up to be a really entertaining season with Fenerbahce making some interesting moves, Trabzonspor making a lot of interesting moves, and we're making some good moves too. But yeah, Trabzon are definitely pulling off some great moves, like Malinovsky, fantastic signing, Cabral that they just signed. You know, we saw him at the World Cup for Cape Verde. Fantastic performance from him. Obviously they got Mucci from us on a permanent basis. They let go of Zubkov and they brought in some other players. And they're making interesting moves. They're looking like they might be a challenger this season. So yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. And so as long as we're not the lesser part of
exactly.
of this again.
As long as we don't have to, like, this season where it's like, oh yeah, that's fun. Trabzon are having a good season. Fenerbahce are having a decent season. Galatasaray are having a decent season, and then we're sitting 20 points behind, like fighting for 4th place with Göztepe and Başakşehir and whatever. You know, no.
That would be horrible.
No.
I don't want that either.
I don't think that.
I don't want that anymore.
I think it's almost impossible for that to happen now with Italiano, with the players we've already signed, with the players we're probably gonna end up signing as well. I think it's impossible. It's almost unthinkable for that to happen this season. So I almost think like we might, whether we win something is a different question, but it almost has to be. It's almost. I mean, it surely it can get worse than the previous 4 years, you would say. But then it's Turkey, it's Beşiktaş. What happens if in 2-3 months all of a sudden the money's gone? We can't pay the players. All that kind of jazz. Oh. No, we've had enough of that shit.
Been there before.
Yeah, no, enough. Anyway, boys, I think we talked about most of the stuff we needed to talk about. We probably spent way more time on Mo Salah, and we didn't give Leandro Trossard. Maybe we didn't give him enough attention. But I do have a video, 25 minutes, recorded earlier today with Ralph Hanna. Sports journalist who covers Paraguay for the most part, but is also born and raised in London. He currently lives in the US, and he's a big Arsenal fan as well. I interviewed him for 25 minutes to talk about Leandro Trossard. That video is up on patreon.com/BishopsPodcast. It's currently still processing on YouTube because I had to take out the copyrighted footage that I was using in the background. So hopefully it'll be available on YouTube in the membership section tomorrow. But if you want to see it already, go to patreon.com/BishopsPodcast, become a member. You can go check it out there. And hopefully I'll try and get an Ouattara video. We'll definitely be doing something. If more Salah comes, we'll definitely be doing something there as well.
Yeah. I think that's going to be our launch off.
And otherwise, I mean, assuming we sign Salah, we will probably be back before Thursday. But if not, then we will be back with a show post Midtjylland, the first match on the 23rd. I still don't know what channel the match is going to be on. Do you know, Ural? Or
No, good question.
I know the league stages of the European games from Turkish teams are TRT, which is great. But last season we had to go to XN and stuff for the qualifiers. So it hasn't been announced yet. I'm holding my breath because it's going to be very challenging to get XN to work and all that kind of stuff. So I hope it's not that.
No, it's Esport Plus, they say. So we first play at home, right?
Yeah.
We first play at home, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Or that one is on Esport Plus.
Okay. All right, I can probably fix that.
Let's not discuss that online.
All right.
Yes.
So
that's going to be alarming to do.
So hopefully we'll be back before Thursday with a Mo Salah centric show again, I guess. Otherwise, we'll be back after the Midtjylland match to discuss the happenings in that specific confrontation. I have to admit, guys, I'm not super. I don't know what to expect. I think it's like part of me thinks, we don't stand much of a chance because we're not ready. But then the other part of me thinks, we've been working really hard in the training camp. Vincenzo Italiano is a really good coach. He's going to prepare really, really well for this game. He might surprise us. But for me, if we somehow win that game, it'll be a surprise, I have to admit.
I was going to say, no matter what, it would be a surprise. That's for sure. Yeah, I think we're all on the same boat there. Too much ground to cover in too short a time, especially with all the World Cup guys gone and only just arriving, right? Like, none of them even played in friendlies, I don't think. So
Orkun and Salih played the last friendly.
That's right. Yeah, the Turkish guys. I meant like and Murillo.
Played. Murillo, I don't know. Agbadu played. Played. But they played like one game, right? And they were there for like a couple of days. And Italiano even said it in his post camp interview. He said, "Look, the majority of the camp I spent with mostly the academy players and so on. So it's Unfortunately, that's the reality of a World Cup year when you have your best players off at the World Cup, when you're focusing on players to transfer that are active at the World Cup. It's a natural consequence of ambition, I guess, because we're going after players like a Trossard, like a Salah now, all players who went beyond the first round in the World Cup. So, yeah. It's
no vacations. No vacations.
Yeah.
Remember Serdal Adalı said no vacations. So he picked all the right guys.
If we go out against Midtjylland, I can't blame the coach. I can't blame the president either because I think they've done a good job with getting players in. So it's just at the end of the day, these matches are coming too early. If we somehow survive them, that would be fantastic. I really hope we do, but if we don't, it's for me it's not a reason to be upset at anyone.
Alarmist.
No
I mean, ringing in the
alarm. Obviously,
yet,
look, if you end up losing the first game 1-5 or something in your own stadium, then people are gonna be really upset, and understandably so. But if you go out against Midtjylland, it's relatively tight, and I don't know. Like I said earlier, it could be a blessing in disguise. But like Ural said, if we do go through, our next rounds are going to be relatively easier opponents. So, it's really tough. But
it's a toss-up.
Yeah.
Well, you always want your team to win. And on that note, it's very important that I say, now more than ever, I wish I knew how to say this in like Egyptian Arabic.
Hey, before you go, Sinan. What?
Something.
Wait. Oskan, no comment, Zerzavaci just commented, Sinan. So we have to acknowledge that. No. We have to acknowledge that.
What did he say? He
said, hello, it's me, Oskan. Go Beşiktaş.
No comment. Basically no comment.
Yeah,
well, thanks. Well, in line with that, Beşiktaş. No. Let's go Beşiktaş! Peace out, everybody! Shouts to our benefactors, to our special followers. We've got Oscar, no comments. Elzabati, #1. #2, Nate Dogg, Nathan Davis, Mr. Baseball. Finnish, not the Swedish kebab. Tristan Berkey Gray. Michael Berry, Umer, Mr. Positive Kunal, who dropped a gem at the end there. Check it out. Tayfur Yaylagul, Sarper Uzdemir, Efe Sezen, Uzcan, the twin Oğur, Atilcan, the Pope of Chicago, Malak, Murder, Merter, Oğuz, Ozgulduk, Eray Gundur, Serkan Uzen, Ali J, Turkish Delight 28, Flacco 54, the Benefactor, Dara the Irishman Hensi, Mario 1 and a 2 and a 3 Vargas, Onur Seçen, Nial Tariq, Sebastian the Nuts, Sporting Director Heinat, Aomata K2H, Moon Knight, the Vigilante Turk, Nasty Nas, Nostradamus Nasser, and of course, with us today, the indefatigable, the indubitable, the indomitable Lou Financier himself. Thanks for showing up today, Udo. Shouts to everyone.